After his resurrection, Jesus appeared to his disciples, but he was not seen by everyone, but by witnesses chosen by God, who ate and drank with him after he rose from the dead. That's what Peter, his disciple, says in our first reading on Easter Sunday. Now, we wonder how he appeared. For most of us, we may think of the risen Jesus as the windows of our churches often picture him, triumphantly coming from the tomb, the soldiers falling to the ground from the dazzling light. But the Gospels don't picture him that way. There's an angel in dazzling white at the tomb, but Jesus doesn't appear that way in the Gospels. His physical appearances are occasional and fleeting. He's not always immediately obvious. None of the resurrection accounts says he stays long. "Do not cling to me," he says to Mary Magdalene, whom he calls by name. Thomas puts his finger in the nail marks, his hand in his wounded side, then he's gone. The disciples eat with him, but he doesn't stay with them. He walks with his two disciples to Emmaus, but they don't recognize him for most of their journey. They know him mainly in the breaking of the bread and as they remember the scriptures he shares. So it seems that Jesus appears physically to his disciples only to confirm he's risen. And now they'll know him in another way, through signs, like bread and wine, water, in gatherings where they remember him, in reading the scriptures that speak of him, and in a particularly important way, in the poor and the suffering who are wounded like him. The risen Jesus seems to wean his disciples away from seeing him bodily, but he'll remain with them through the ages. And that's the way through signs. He remains with us now. And don't forget the signs of the time. I'm thinking of this pandemic. The whole world is facing it now. It's one of the great signs of our time. And certainly it's not welcome or understandable. I'm thinking of a letter St. Paul of the Cross, the founder of my community, the Passionists, wrote to someone going through dark times. He says, by God's providence, you find yourself struggling in darkness. That's where humility and self-knowledge are found. So keep praying and accepting God's will and doing what you can. Faith comes alive in the dark. Stay there and you'll find all riches. Faith comes alive in the dark. I'm thinking also of another comment on the signs of the times that Sister Elizabeth Johnson made recently. The signs of our time propel the living tradition forward. So, can the sign of our times propel us and our world forward to something better, toward the world that God wills? We hope so. The risen Lord is with us. May he have mercy on us. Amen.